Susan, you're on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were talking to me.
Yes, we are, dear.
I think the Texans are going to win 27-21, and I think Barry's right if they do make Wade Phillips an offer. I think they will make him an offer, but I don't think he's going to take the job.
Why?
Because I think that a bunch of other people are going to want him, and I think they're going to, offer him a deal he can't refuse.
Well,
and that's just my opinion.
Now, I've got to ask a very pertinent question in here, okay?
Okay.
And I'm asking you, Susan, to be brutally honest with me.
Okay.
All righty?
The answer's no. I won't go out with you tomorrow night.
Are you the same Susan who was made a career in property management?
Absolutely.
The same Susan, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
well,
sir.
and knowing from where you're calling, I see that being a source very close to the situation.
Well, that's true, but I don't have any inside information. It's just a gut instinct that there's going to be some offers too much better.
Well, am I allowed to say who you are, Susan, or am I going to have to, sit back behind my veil of letting people trying to figure it out, Susan?
You can do whatever you want.
What I will do, and that's Wade's sister, calling from Goliad, and the first deal on it was when it said Goliad, Susan. But and you know my conversations with your brother, we have never once talked about anything other than the fact that he feels that working in Houston and being home and working with Gary would certainly be something he would definitely consider. But the number one thing on your brother's mind this week has been his mother-in-law, who they're making the plans to try to put into a rehab hospital for her back. But I'm going to go one up on you, Susan. Okay? I'm going to bet you a chicken fried steak and a tall, cold one, or go with Dad and get ourselves a couple of dozen oysters, that Wade will be the defensive coordinator next year right here in Houston, Texas.
I pray to God you're right. I really do, because I'd love for my brother to be here, and I'd love for them to bring Wesley also.
Well, the problem is this, and Wade and I talked about Wesley's future. Wesley's body of work, he's more suited to be on the offensive side of the ball, and I don't think there are going to be any openings on the offensive side. But let me tell you something about your nephew. Down the road, he is going to be a head coach in the National Football League.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He has got the right stuff. But
hey Susan, let me and this is Brian Straw. Nice to meet you, and I appreciate Barry kind of pulling back the veil, and everybody now knows this is Wade's sister. Let me ask you this, because your initial thought was that Wade won't become the defensive coordinator of the Texans, despite the fact that you want it, and Barry's betting you that it will happen. Is one of the issues that there would be concern when you look at a better offer, that if there's a new regime in Cleveland, as Barry mentioned, or maybe in Tennessee or Miami or someplace else there where there's obviously going to be interest in Wade, that's a new situation. He'd have a fresh start. He'd probably get 3 or 4 years automatically as a minimum, where here, if they don't make the playoffs next year for sure, it would be a situation where he'd be out of a job looking for another job in 12 months.
Yeah, I don't think that Wade worries about any of that, but
okay.
I do think that anybody that's looking for a job has to think about the fact whether it's the best situation for themselves and their family, because I came from that background. I mean,
yeah. Would you think it's strictly money?
No, I don't think it's money. I think it's an opportunity for him to show who he really is still, because I hate it when people say that Wade wasn't a good head coach. The last 3 years prior to this year, as far as Wade was concerned with the Dallas Cowboys, he was the winningest coach in that 3 years that they ever had, even over Landry.
They did go 11-5 2 years back to back.
Yeah, I don't, and every place he's ever been, I think it's a fact. I think you can look it up. But I think every place he's ever been, I believe as defensive coordinator, but I know as head coach, the very first year that he goes there, they go to the playoffs, no matter what their record was before.
And
no
there's
matter
one
what
thing.
The record was before, he has always gone to the playoffs the very first year he was at a place. So I know that, and also I do believe that, I mean, you know, they would have to be on board with the Phillips 3-4. And I'm not sure, you know, if they're on board for that. And like somebody already said, I think it was Barry, that, you know, if we don't have the players that he can put that together by next year to go to the playoffs, you know, I don't think Wade will come in somewhere that he's not going to be able to bring that team to the playoffs, if not the Super Bowl.
Okay, now, can I throw two things out?
Sure.
One, your brother will coach his defense is a hybrid defense, so he has no problem if he has to for the first year to coaching a 4-3. But number two, there's one thing I know about your brother. Money ain't going to rule the day because he is not motivated by money, and number two, he wants to coach because that's his hobby, that's his avocation. He's not like some people that grow roses and play hockey or play golf or collect stamps. That's not your brother. And plus, Lori would go crazy having him around the house all day.
Oh, I don't think they would be married much longer if that happened.